All right, so I have located the smallest tire. I'm gonna check that out. See, I didn't finish what I was saying earlier, that these tires started out at 55 and they're down to, what they were like, double check. The rears, just smaller, at 53.8. So let's call that 1.2 millimeters of wear in, I think, about 10 runs on them. So, you know, we're only averaging like 0.12, 0.15, maybe a little bit more wear per run, and on the low side. So we're trying to find a combination of compounds that work, that wear more evenly front to rear, make tire maintenance a little easier, and hopefully, you know, find the best wearing and performing tire, and then make that the spec tire, and everybody will be happy. So when I'm doing a shallow cut like this, my bit seems to cut a little nicer, spinning reverse direction away from me. And then you can also do the tire maintenance, like with sanding tools and stuff, while it's spinning that direction. So start with the bit out a little bit, and then come in on the tire. Look at my wear pattern. So I think I should take just a little bit more off. This is the smallest one. Try to flatten the tire out. So I really like this CRC sanding disc, or board, whatever you want to call it. It's got two different coarsenesses. I'm just gonna retouch the edges, kind of buzz down the glue repairs on the sidewall. And this thing, where will it focus? This tire with her little chunks and stuff is ready for action. So I'm gonna repeat that. One thing I find helpful with this style of bit adjustment is to not loosen this upper like set screw that holds the bit in place. Not loosen it all the way, like don't make it totally sloppy. Put a little tension on it so that when you're turning the knob to adjust your depth, that it's not just like free spinning, so you have a little resistance. I find that super helpful. So we're finding starting tires around 55 to 55.5 is a great starting spot for performance and economy and durability. They seem to try to roll off the wheel a little less the smaller you start them. Again, like these 35H don't do it. The 35 EPs are doing it. We need to do a little more testing to see if maybe the 32H or the 35H are more durable. Because it's not all about performance, you know. We want to find a tire spec that really checks all the boxes and drives well. But if it's a tenth or two slower and everybody's running it, then so you know, who cares? So just because this front tire is making a deeper cut, it's a harder tire, and they wear faster, I'm going to buzz it twice just to help make sure that they're matched evenly. Sometimes I'll even cut the rear tires like a half or quarter millimeter larger than the front tire, so that, because I know my fronts are wearing faster than the rears. So again, that's one of the reasons why we're trying to find a same spec tire all the way front and rear, same compound, to make our lives easier and make the tires wear a little easier. So now I'm gonna clean up this sidewall glue a little bit so we can redo that. So that takes a little bit more attention, and sometimes I'll use the rough side of this bar to get the glue off. But again, I'm gonna throw on my respirator because I don't know, we really breathe enough garbage. So when rounding your tires, we're not rounding them very much. I round the front outside sidewall that you're gonna glue, like almost very little, almost not at all. And then all the other tires get a small round, but not heavily rounded. When you're trying to get old sidewall glue off to redo the glue, it can take a little bit to get it off. I find that it's not about pressure, but just a little bit of patience, moving the sanding bar around a little bit. But you can see that sidewall is pretty well cleaned up and ready for some of that fresh Max Mockler glue instead of the CA. So I'm kind of excited about that stuff. I get lazy, so I don't hand thread that nut all the way on. That sucks. So the rear tires I did, and this is an important little detail here when you're cutting multiple compounds. So the rear tires, they came out to 53.6. And you can see here that this front tire, without changing the bit, measured 54.6, even with doing 2 passes, or 54 flat. So yeah, 53.6. So that's like 0.4 millimeter different with the same bit setting, and so that just happens often when you're cutting different compound tires, and also the depth of your cut and stuff like that. So like a deeper cut at once is usually going to cut to a smaller size than a shallower cut with the bit set to the same depth. So what I'm going to do is trim the fronts down a little bit further. So I'm going to loosen. Alright, so I'm going to loosen this set screw, thumb screw. Still keep a little tension on it. Actually, first with it tightened down, since I want to go tighter. So there's a lot of slop in this nut for adjusting your bit depth, and it's kind of annoying, but it is the way it is on this CRC truer. It's not the nicest truer, but it's getting the job done. So I'm gonna turn it all the way in till there's no slop on the tight side, and then I'm gonna loosen the upper set screw a little bit, and then I'm gonna turn, the depth adjustment on the adjuster knob here, like, it's pretty accurate. So if you turn it a 1/2 millimeter, you should get about a 1/2 millimeter tire diameter change. The measurement along here on the CRC truer is not at all accurate, and I don't know why it's so far. It's like 5 millimeters off. I don't know why. It must have been designed for a different type of bit or something like that. But anyway, so to make an adjustment, turn this all the way in the direction of your adjustment with this on top still tight. Loosen the set screw knob on top, and then I'm going to turn it 1/10, 2/10, about 3/10 of a millimeter. Tighten the top down, make sure that's tight. Alright, so one thing I've been doing to help fresh tires work well right out the gate is working on the finish of the cut. Let's see if I can get that to focus. And so these are straight off, these are the fronts, straight off the blade, or straight off the cutting bit. And that's a little coarser, a little less smooth than I want. So I want the tire to take on a little bit more of the look that the tire gets right off the gate, or right after being run on the track. So first what I'm going to do is buzz it with the smooth side of this CRC blade a bit. Just a little bit. And then we're going to use some sandpaper. This is, it just says fine. It feels like something around 400, I think. So I'm going to polish the surface of the tire a little bit, back and forth. Not a lot of pressure. The paper gets hot. And then I'm going to use some gray Scotch-Brite. And again, not a lot of pressure. It starts to melt the Scotch-Brite a little bit. You're just trying to buff the tire. So, see if you can see the difference on the camera. All right, so this one in my left hand has been smoothed, and the right has not. So it's subtle, you can't really see too well on the camera, but that does help just finish the tire and make them break in faster, which is helpful if you don't have time to scrub tires in a practice run. So, little tips. So I wasn't actually satisfied with the finish of those tires in that last shot there. So I went back and I did a longer duration of sandpaper with really light pressure, and then a longer duration of Scotch-Brite with really light pressure. And it's giving more of that kind of polished, finished look the tire gets after being run on the track. So this is a new tire. This one on the right has been run, one run. And so you can see, I don't have a fresh cut tire to show, but you can see how that's looking closer to a tire that's been run. It doesn't have shadows and like dips and valleys. It's starting to get a little more polished off.